stuff, down to 2 musicians this morning accompanying us. Did a good job. Back in the day, I entered the 2nd kindergarten class of Howard Elementary at the ripe old age of 4. I was in school for about a week and I turned 5. But I completed my compulsory education at age 17. I received a Bachelor of Arts degree when I was 22. But I still remember lamenting the fact during Christmas vacation before I graduated, where, Darian, you're going to love this, during Christmas you get like 3 or 4 weeks. And in fact, like I'll never get 3 or 4 weeks off in a row. And to this point, that's the way it's been. Life changes for all of us, doesn't it? Someone has said to keep looking forward to growing older. Consider the alternative. Stop getting older, you're done, you're dead. But we have 2 individuals who are getting ready for one of their first big transitions in life. High school graduation. The end of compulsory education. And so, after this week, commencement's in 4 days, right? You'll no longer have to go to school. You will choose to go to school. Or we choose to go to work. And more time will continue to fly, though it moves the same amount every year, it seems to fly. And before you know it, Darian and Ian, you'll be out of college and you'll be into the workforce. You may end up with someone special and get married, or you may decide to pursue the single life. Either way, the journey continues. If we get married, sometimes a game changer happens in the form of children get introduced into the marriage. But eventually, they will launch out of your home, as many of you have experienced. We've experienced 1 out of our 3 who have launched and formed their own family. And then it gets down to it, it's just the 2 of you again. And eventually, in most cases, only 1 of you. A lot of transition through life, but one thing remains consistent: the Lord. Now that sounds simple, but don't blast by that too quickly. He is a consistency in our life, and I want to point you to a well-known psalm. It's in Psalm 121, chapter 121. It's been a help and a comfort to those going through any stage of life. So let's read it, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where shall my help come? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. He will not keep you, or he who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun will not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will protect you from all evil. He will keep your soul. The Lord will guard your going out, your coming in, from this time forth and forever. Some commentators call this the soldier's psalm, because it's believed that David was camped out with his troops in the field when he wrote that psalm. Others have called it the traveler's psalm. Both of them carry about danger, don't they? Definitely danger in war. Army as a West Point grad. When he got his commission as a second lieutenant, his first place he was shipped out to was Korea. And then he went to Vietnam, and he said that Vietnam was the first place that he took men in and didn't bring them all back out. That had a profound impact on him. And a very dangerous spot in war and traveling. We don't think about it. If we think about it, we never get on roads, right? But there's a lot of danger out there. They say there's more of a chance that you die in an automobile accident than you would an airplane ride, right? More danger on the highways than in the air. But when we hear about a plane crash, there's a lot of fatality all at once. Not much on the road, but they both have their element of danger. And so David asked where his help comes from. And notice he cast his eye to the mountains. One night, Lisa and I came home when we were newlyweds, and our house was right on the foot of a mountain, and our driveway went uphill. And we pulled in one night, and we could see the sky with the mountain full of stars. Just as a side note, that's why we put flags on poles, why we have flagpoles. When they came up with the idea of a flagpole, they called it a liberty pole. And they raised the flag up so that when you looked at it, you looked past it to the true strength of the nation, which is God. And so David looked to the mountains, but he knew the God of the mountains. What's he saying? He realizes he's not going to find his assistance. He's not going to find the fulfillment of his needs in the things of this earth or the people of this earth or the means that they provide. No, his dependency was going to be on God and God alone. And he practiced that. Do you recall when he's making the transition into becoming king, and he had his men, they went out and made a raid, and they came back to his base in Ziklag. And ready to come back and join with their wives and their children, have a great dinner, and celebrate their great victory. And they came back, and Ziklag was burned with fire. And the women and children were nowhere to be found. And boy, when his men broke down and started crying, and then they turned their attention to their leader David, and they were ready to kill him. Like, what did you do? You know, look what you put out our family because of you. And the Bible is very clear, makes it very clear that David, in a very difficult situation, found his strength and his encouragement in the Lord, not in man. Why such faith? And this faith that we see here in Psalm 121, why did he have such faith in God? Well, he knew him to be the Creator. And we learn a lot of things about him because he's the Creator. He's a solid foundation. Notice he will not allow your foot to slip. Psalm 18 verse 2 says, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield, the horn, the horn is power of my salvation, my stronghold." Do you view God as that in your life? Is he your stronghold? Or what happens when life gets fragile? Do we forget about God, that God is our strength? My strength is failing, but God is strong. In fact, he said, the Bible's author said, when I'm weak, he is strong. You have that view. Matthew 10 verse 39, this is from the Message, says, if your first concern is to look after yourself, you'll never find yourself. Wow, that is a slap at modern psychology, isn't it? Where it's all about finding yourself without God. You'll never find yourself. But if you forget about yourself and look to me, you'll find both yourself and me. Interesting. Think about what you worry about. Got it? Now, do you worry about things that feed your selfish nature? Or do you you more worry about your faith in God? Think about the faith of God. The faith of God. Which of those describe you? My encouragement to you is learn to trust the Lord with all your heart. Trust that He's never going to steer you wrong. He's the great pilot. You know, you see those bumper stickers that said God is my co-pilot. Not me. God's my pilot. I'm just going to walk for the ride, right? And so trust Him. Can we say that God's a little like an insomniac? Only it's not a disorder for Him. That's who He is. He's God. He doesn't need sleep like our weak bodies need sleep. We can stay up for hours and hours. We may stay up for a day or two, but eventually our body's going to say, you're done. Lay down, take a nap, sleep. And you want to sleep, right? God doesn't have to do that. And so He's always awake, always alert. Never a time that God is not watching over you. Never. You cannot get away from Him. And we look at the universe and we think, how vast and how huge. How can God know me? Truth is, what we see as huge isn't very big to God. God is bigger than His creation. He's greater than His creation. And so because He created, He's always alert, He can protect you. Stories told about the early American Indians, how they had a unique training for their young braves. Apparently they took their boys when they were 13 and would take them blindfolded miles from their home into the deep, dark forest. And they'd have to spend the night there. This one particular brave was led out, and all he knew at that point was the love of his mother, the joy of being with his brothers and sisters, the strength of his dad, the protection of his dad. And now here at 13, he's taken out in the middle of the woods and dropped. Darkness fell. He was allowed to take off his blindfold. He couldn't see anything. Pitch dark. Every little snap of a twig, he thought something was about ready to pounce on him. Didn't sleep much that night. Finally, light started to break through the thick ceiling of the trees. And he could see flowers and the leaves, and he saw the path home. And then he was startled to see a figure over his shoulder. There was his dad standing with a bow and arrow. He'd been there all night, right with him. God's like that. In the deepest, darkest times of your life, when you think that nobody's there, God stands with you. He's there. Can you think about people in your life that when you were afraid, their presence just comforted you, encouraged you, gave you confidence? That's God. But we need to think about the Creator's priority when we think about His protection. Is God's priority physical or spiritual? Well, obviously it's spiritual. So with that in mind, God's concerned about eternity. In fact, that's how He built you. He did not build you for this life. He built you for eternity. And so He's concerned most about that. Lest you think, you get confused when things don't work out the way you think they should, and you start to be tempted to think God didn't protect you. That is not true. God's priority is eternity. He is always protecting the eternal nature that you have. He's protecting you for eternity, your eternal worth. 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 9 says, "Then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from temptation and to keep the unrighteous under punishment for the day of judgment." Now back to Psalm 121, notice how long God will guide us and encourage us and protect us. Well, it's all through this life and the next, from this time and forevermore. Now and forever, God watches over us. But I caution you, Hebrews 11:6 says, and without faith it is impossible to please God. For he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who seek him. Those who come to God with faith must believe that he exists, and there is ample evidence that God exists. Now, the critics will say, prove to me there's a God. You know what your standard answer should be? Prove to me there isn't a God. Because there's a lot more evidence as you look into... And the Bible, you ever notice the Bible never sets out to prove the existence of God? What's the first verse of Genesis say? In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. It assumes the existence of God. But you can look around at creation, and a lot of that, so much so that there's so much evidence that God says on the day of judgment, people will be without excuse. When they say, oh God, I never saw you, never experienced your work. You never saw the sun rise? You never saw the snow fall? You never heard the robin sing? All those are evidence of God. And so, God is a rewarder of those who seek him. And so ask yourself, are you seeking God? How do you seek God? Well, just in short, it's more than just attending worship services on Sunday. No, it's an everyday relationship with God. Every day we seek God, and seek God's favor, and seek God's presence. Can you imagine living in a land where everybody did that? Because we certainly live in a land where everybody doesn't do that. Not even most people do that. The narrow road that leads to life, the wide road's easier, but leads to destruction. That's what most people are on. That's what Jesus said. And so, imagine being in a place where everybody loves God, adores Jesus, serves him, worships him, pleases him all the time. Well, there will be a day when all that will happen. There will be a day when everybody will be on the same page. Everybody will be in God's good grace. Wow. So specifically today, Darian and Ian, but all of us, no matter what stage of life we're in, need to learn to totally depend on God. Look to the hills, look to the mountain and beyond for your strength, knowing that God not only is the strength of the country, he's your strength. Let him be the guide for your life. He will not steer you wrong. But you cannot play around with it. You cannot keep one foot in the world and one foot in the Lord. Not a very good position to be in, walking down the middle of the highway. It's all or nothing. Give him your all. Keep it. So if you need help with that, getting into that kind of relationship with God, we need to talk. So let's talk. I can't read your mind. I can't read your heart. God knows. I don't. If you need help, I'd be glad to help you. Let's pray. Then we'll continue our worship and celebrate the King's meal. So let's pray. God, we thank you for life. We thank you that you lead us through every stage of life. care of us and feed us. Our childhood, our teen years, our young adult years, our mid-age, our old age. You're with us every step of the way. So God, we thank you for the blessing of knowing you. And we truly feel sorry for people who have no clue. God, help us to seek out those people and give them the message of hope, the message of eternal salvation that is found only in the Lord Jesus Christ. Father, help us to look to the mountains and to realize where our help comes from. Our help does not come from people, but our help comes from you, the maker of heaven and earth. We love you. We pray you continue to be with us as we worship you, and that you be pleased with us this day. We pray in Jesus' name.